Yes, sir.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Hook the Line. Happy Halloween for all those that do celebrate. We've got Halloween picks today. We're going to be going through our deep sea dogs, our marquee matchups, and then our best bets, as well as Yusko. I don't know if you're giving out your lock of the week or whether that's going to be up on Twitter. Why don't you go and tell everybody?
Um, Good question. Honestly, I haven't really given it too much thought. I think I'll give it on the pod this week. We're 1-1 giving it out on Twitter, so maybe we'll give it on the pod. Last thing of this episode will be the lock of the week.
All right, that works. Yeah, so we do have that Twitter. So for all you guys that are looking for where to find these picks, if you just want a quick synopsis of all the picks, all the games, those are going to be up on our Twitter with our picks, some of our best bets, and our deep sea dog. That's all going to have that there. So make sure you check that out. With that being said, I know we did an episode yesterday, so we caught up on that. Good Ravens game last night. Just kidding. It was a blowout. That's kind of sucked to watch. I don't understand how my team, the Falcons, lose to the Dolphins and then they go and get blown out by the Ravens the very next week. It's unbelievable. So
Yeah, Ravens might be back. It looked scary for sure.
they look scary. Derrick Henry just again looking like a bad trade for me. I traded Cam Scottaboo, Derrick Henry, gave away CMC and got Garrett Wilson. Cam Scottaboo, we all know what happened. Derrick Henry did not have a good night last night. So
It's all right. 1 week.
yeah, 1 week. Hopefully, we'll bounce back. Something else interesting. We talked about the coaching carousel yesterday. LSU went ahead and got rid of their AD, chopped him off last night after we finished our episode. So, new AD that has the go ahead to go ahead and hire a coach. So that might be coming
Yeah, the
sometime.
governor's getting involved. It's getting weird down there, honestly. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know who they're going to go after at this point. If the local government is making calling the shots, who knows?
Yeah, that's a little crazy. I mean, it didn't feel like those two things should mix, but I guess down in the South, anything goes. Alabama does that a lot where they have their politicians beat ex-football coaches.
So
Louisiana
weird.
doesn't work like that. Also, Arizona State, Sam Levitt out for the season. I don't know if you saw that. That came out.
Whoa, I did not see that. That's
That's a
nuts.
big one.
That's bad actually. That's a tough loss for them because that
Yeah.
was I had a lot of hype on him going into the year and damn that sucks. I'm sure he was an NFL draft guy too. I saw that a couple GMs may like him come April, but that sucks.
Yeah, I like him a lot too. I had written down the only reason I saw that I'd written down Arizona State to cover this week as one of my best bets, and then I saw that, so I went ahead and scratched that out because
That's brutal.
that's a big player in that. So without further ado, you guys know the drill, so we'll just get right into it. We'll go ahead with deep sea dogs. My deep sea dog, I rode with some of our Purdue friends last week. Terrible decision to go with them. I should have known throughout all of college. We knew not to go with them. Rode
Right.
with them. It was UCLA, and they got battered. But we did have some success. Again, Yusko, you had success with your deep sea dog.
Yes, sir. Bill Belichick. I felt something was brewing in the air after that Cal game and got to OT, and somehow they get back to OT with the UVA team, and they were literally where's the camera? This close to bringing it home for me, bringing all the points home. But if you saw the play, he was barely short, and we'll have to live with the 5 points. But I mean, it's a semi win. I'll take it. Looking to continue to roll.
Yeah, points are points. So I think you're up five. I think we kind of evened it out now because you've got one that's hit directly. I've got one that's hit directly, and I think you have one more that is covered than I have. So I think you're up five now in those standings. But I'm
Oh,
this week, and so with that being said, we'll go ahead and jump right in. I'll start with mine, and then we'll do yours because I'm in need of a win. So I'm going to start here with a game that could be considered a deep sea dog, although it doesn't have a ranked team. I will just go ahead and say. I'm going to take the Navy midshipmen to cover against North Texas on the road. No one's talking about Navy, and they're undefeated. I think it's time we give a little love to the Service Academy. Also, I think this is a terrible matchup for North Texas, who lets up a lot of points and relies on kind of explosive plays on offense. And Navy chews the clock. They run the ball the entire game, essentially. So North Texas can't stop the run. I think Navy just wins because of time of possession purely. So I'm going plus 6.5 Navy at North Texas in a weird game that probably not many people are looking at, but 7-0 Navy, 7-1 North Texas, maybe might mean something. So
maybe. All love to the military. Shout out the boys that play for the Navy football team. My Deep sea dog. Obviously, I've gone back and forth in some of the conferences, Big 12, ACC, and I think I found success in my conference, in my niche. Um, I'm going back to the ACC. I know I got Virginia way back when they looked like they were nobody. Syracuse brought me a lot of misery. That was a miss, but I locked back in last week with UNC, and we're going back that way. We're going with the Virginia Tech Hokies to cover
Mm.
over Louisville. I just think that, knowing Jeff Brom better than most fans of the college football world, they go and they do something really impressive, right? Like beat a team Miami on the road on Friday night, and then they just kind of fall back to the average football team. And I'm thinking maybe it's this week. Virginia Tech is kind of, fallen off the radar. They started 0-3. They played South Carolina. They played Vandy. They lost to Old Dominion somehow. But, they've kind of fallen off the rails. But I like them to get back in the spot. I think they're in like the mid tier of the ACC, and, they could steal one at home from the Cardinals, who are kind of riding a high. They're up to what's, I think, 17 in the country right now. No, 16, sorry. But I'm selling them high a little bit. I think that they will fall back a little bit because I don't think they got a couple more easier games on their schedule. Actually, maybe not, but they have Cal, they play Clemson, SMU, and then the the dumpster of the SEC, Kentucky. So I think that they're due for a couple more losses, and I think one could maybe come here.
Yeah, I like a lot of hype behind Virginia Tech to start the year, so it's one of those teams that feels like they're just kind of a sleeping giant,
Yeah,
similar to Clemson in that way of, they haven't performed, or Penn State, but at any given week they could just go and win a game randomly. They're probably not going to do it consistently, but I do like that pick. As for Navy, Blake Horvath, I think is somebody maybe needs to get talked about a little bit more. That guy's fun to watch. So if you want to turn on some football, some electric, old style, running the ball football, Blake Horvath's your guy. But both those picks, hopefully they'll go well. I think your spread is 10.5. Is that what you said? And
ten and
Louisville.
a half. I think I see 11.5. It's around that range. So we'll get an official stamp when the line closes. But
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have that up there. We'll be following along with our deep sea dog. I think we're on track right now to have almost every week with a successful deep sea dog from at least one of us in
oh
terms
yeah,
of covering. I don't think we've had a week where we've both gone 0-1.
that's
So,
good. That's
you
great.
know, that means good things for the program. We'll
Great
see
for the
what happens
brand.
this week. Maybe both of us. Who knows? I think we yet to have that happen as well.
Hopefully, that's
So we
loading.
Yeah. So with that being said, that'll conclude the deep sea dogs. If you guys have deep sea dogs, make sure you let us know down in the comments, and we will move into our marquee games. So we've got two 11 a.m. games. We'll go ahead and start with big noon kickoff. I think it is. So that's going to be Penn State on the road at Ohio State. Kind of a big preseason matchup that has now fallen into what a lot of people probably think is going to be a bit of a rout for Ohio State. Penn State's still got a roster, though. Still got a good roster. They are missing their starting quarterback, Drew Aller. Ethan Grunkmeyer will start. Did not look great against Iowa, I will say. 93 yards and 2 picks in that one. We'll see if he can bounce back against probably the best defense in the country. What do you think?
Um, yeah, this is as tough as it gets for a Penn State team that's struggling. Obviously with Drew Aller, this game looks a little different. I think, sending Grunkmeyer out against probably the best defense we've seen all year is a tall task, especially after the way he looked in Iowa, which you mentioned. But yeah, I don't really see Penn State really giving them a fight, to be honest with you. This team is all over the place. Their season's practically over. And then this Ohio State team they're just a sleeping giant in terms of what they'll do on the national stage. I think this helps that this game is in Columbus. Beaver Stadium might have been a different story with everything that's happened in Happy Valley and State College. Julian Sain continues to roll. That wide receiver core cannot be stopped. They're just loaded with NFL talent, like as usual. So I mean, I think that what's the spread? What we got on it? What do
The
you have written
spread
down?
is opened up at 20.5 for Ohio State, is now sitting at 18.5. So people have
Yeah.
been putting money on Penn State to cover, and then over under is 45.5.
Okay. So I mean, yeah. So 23 score game. That's probably right about accurate. I think that Penn State is not really worthy of keeping up with this defense, especially with the quarterback that they have and the situation that's been going on with them, which is unfortunate. But all things said, I'm gonna go obviously with the Buckeyes to win this game. I'm gonna have them winning 31-14. So I do think they keep this. I think this is a good number. I think the people that got it at 20.5 probably get lucky, get a cover. I just think Ohio State's offense is probably gonna, you know, be a little slow against the Penn State defense that's decent. Obviously, had higher expectations coming into the year. Um, so I think it's tighter than the spread says, but once again, I think Ohio State continues to just power through the Big Ten and continue on their way to Indianapolis.
Yeah, and so 31-14, that'll put you right at the number for the over
Is it? Wow, geez. All
45
right.
and a half. So looks like you're in line with Vegas in terms of your way of thinking. And then yeah, to cover Penn State to cover, it seems like a lot of people, the public, are definitely thinking that way as well. I think this is a really hard one to pick. Obviously, Ohio State is going to win the game. I don't think there's any question of that. It's kind of just how many points can Penn State put up. It reminds me a little bit of that Illinois Ohio State game we did a couple weeks back, where it's just how many points is Illinois going to lose by. And so that's what this question is. And I currently have Ohio State winning 35-13. I do have them covering, although I don't know if I touch the spread. Like you said, I do like the line. I just think it's going to be a big win. Penn State kind of lost all over the place, and now you're asking them to go play the best team in the country. And with Ohio State's record of going after and losing to Michigan over and over again, I don't think they're ever really going to let a team surprise them like that. I think they're so embarrassed by the fact that they've lost that many. They're not going to let one of these teams, Michigan, Penn State, Indiana, whoever it is, if they're having a bad season, sneak up and beat them because they want to remove all of that talk and solidify themselves as number one. So yeah, I just think this is a pretty straightforward one. I think throwing that quarterback in that situation, Grunkmeyer, that's just brutal. I think it's going to be similar to week one, except the only difference is Ohio State's offense is ready to go, unlike they were not against Texas. So now they're going to put up a lot more points. But I did read this morning that this defense is performing statistically extremely similar to 2021 Georgia's defense, which in terms of national championship picture, everything like that. We know what that 2021 Georgia team did. So maybe that spells something for the future of this Ohio State program, but looks like one of the best defenses we've seen in a long time. So
Yep.
Penn State putting up a lot of points.
Yep. Not only on from a personnel standpoint, but a coaching standpoint. I've said this before. Bringing in a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator certainly helps that, and you have a top five pick at a unique position in Caleb Downs. Like, just those two go hand in hand in bringing success. I know they have a bunch of other players on that defense that help with that, but the versatility that Caleb Downs brings in terms of where he plays on the field is just unheard of, and is definitely attributes to why they're so good.
Yeah, he's going to be a nightmare for Grunkmeyer this weekend. So,
No doubt.
with that being said, I think that one's pretty straightforward. I really wish that that was a better game than it's probably going to be. I think that would be a really exciting one at this point in the year if
Yeah.
it was living up to expectations. But unfortunately, just how college football is, you never know. So, moving on to the second 11 a.m. game, we've got Vanderbilt, top 10 in the country now, number nine. That is
Well,
absolutely crazy, but extremely well deserved. And then you've got them going on the road at Texas, number 20. So a big road game for Vanderbilt, maybe something they haven't seen since when they went on the road to Alabama. Going to be a similar style kind of team. And we'll see. As of now, the status of Arch Manning is game time decision, although the backup, Matthew Caldwell, actually has looked pretty decent every time he's come in. He threw a dot against Mississippi State to win the game, and then he threw another dot. He got in one other game. I forget which one it was, but I think it might have been Oklahoma. Played really well. So we'll see what's happened with the quarterback situation, but I think this all relies on Vandy's offense versus Texas defense. So you go ahead, give me your take.
yeah, well said right there at the end. hopefully Arch plays. I really want him to play. That way, this game's fun to watch and draws a lot of eyes, and everybody watches at noon. I know it's probably going to compete with Penn State, Ohio State, and two conferences will go head to head. But um, we're reaching must-win territory for Texas and the Longhorns after coming into the season with huge expectations, right? And I think they know that, right? This is their first game back in Austin since they played Sam Houston when Arch Manning flexed over that guy for whatever reason. Um, and I think that plays a big factor, to be honest with you. Like all those fans want to welcome their team home and give them a bunch of support into a game where they are playing a somehow top 10 team in Vanderbilt. I know it's crazy to say, but they are playing like one. It's pretty deserving of. Um, so, I mean, the spread's what, probably three, right?
Yeah, it's 3.5 right now. Over under is 47.5.
47. Okay, that's actually lower than I thought. Um, I mean, Sark's offense needs to get going, to be honest with you. I know they really were sluggish in that Mississippi State game. And then they put up a ton of points in the fourth quarter with a lot of help from that punt return. Um, but this is going to be huge for them. I think that it's going to start come out because they got Georgia coming up, Texas A&M dead in the year, right? So hopefully, he likes to run a couple, double tight end sets, get Arch moving with his legs, just be tactical and get into third and fourth and short. That way, you can just stay on schedule and convert, and keep Pavia off the field. I know he's a problem too in terms of extending plays, making big time throws. Um, but I think all of Vandy's losses are going to come on the road. I know that's easy to say. Um, they already lost to Alabama, which is a tough place to play. I mean, Texas is not any easier. Could be harder to argue. Um, but I think that's where they're all going to come from. And I think, right, when you go on the road, you feel a lot of pressure to play an A-plus football game and not put the ball in harm's way, which we've seen him done. I've talked about it before. Actually said it might happen during the Missouri game, which was really far off of me to say. Hopefully that's not the case this week. So I am going to actually go with Texas. I think that they win 28-21. So I do think that they cover that 3-point spread. I think it's a one-score game. I think that they get it done with a touchdown. I could see it going either way. I just think that the offense gets rolling a little bit and they're able to put up 4 scores and keep Pavia in check, and come out with a victory.
You made a great point about the schedule. That was actually what I was going to bring up. 4 out of the last 5 games for Vanderbilt have been at home, and then it's the exact opposite, really, for Texas. 3 out of the last 4 have been on the road. So yes, I do think that plays a big factor. Another thing that plays a little bit of a factor, which is why I think this game will be closer than maybe I would normally pick. Texas 2 back-to-back overtime games last 2 weeks. They have an overtime win against Kentucky. Looked really ugly, but they found a way to get it done. And then overtime win at Mississippi State. Once again, really ugly, but they found a way to get it done, which is just what good teams do. So a lot of people can say Kentucky, Mississippi State, very bad teams per se, but you're also going on the road in the SEC. You never know what can happen. Teams lose games like that all the time. So the fact that they were able to get a win, it's just they're either going to come out one of two ways. It's either going to be a response of like we've bounced back and we've been able to be resilient, and now we're ready to just take the rest of the season and go with it with these 2 OT wins, or it's going to be a fatigue factor of we've played 2 really long, emotionally drawn out games back to back, and now we got to go match up against Vanderbilt. So it'll be interesting to me which Texas team comes out. I do think the first option that I said will come out. So I have Texas winning this game 24-19, even though they've had those 2 struggles against the last 2 games. I think being at home, like you said, is a huge factor for that Texas fan base. Um, We'll see. I don't really think it matters who plays at quarterback, honestly. I think I would keep my scoreline pretty much the same, whether it was Arch, whether it was Matthew Caldwell, because I do think this defense is really good. And I think Missouri exploited something against Vanderbilt last week, just with that offense kind of being able to slow down Pavia and them, give a lot of film to Texas on what they need to do. Missouri held them to 150 yards rushing, which doesn't sound like a lot, but Vanderbilt got 80 of those in one play. So if you can keep the run game very stagnant, it seems like this Vanderbilt team struggles to put up a lot of points. And then maybe, like you said, Pavia tries to force something, puts the balls in harm's way, and Texas has dogs flying all around the field on the defensive end. So they've got Colin Simmons. That's a game wrecker right there. So we'll see. I think Texas covers. I do have the under slightly, but I've got 24-19 Texas beating Vanderbilt in Texas.
Yep, kind of in the same boat. I mean, closer game, one score, and not really high flying. Hopefully, um, we see the best of Texas's defense. You know, I really do want to see Arch play, but I think that that offense is built for all of the quarterbacks on their roster. I think that
Mhm.
either one of them is going to find success and at least moving the football a little bit or enough to bring success and put points on the board. So that's another good football game.
Yeah, that'll be good. So those two games are at noon. I will say Penn State has a chance to do probably the funniest thing in the history of their university in beating Ohio State and getting over the hump that James Franklin couldn't as soon as James Franklin leaves.
That
And
would
now
be
just
really funny.
that would be hilarious to me. So I will be rooting for Penn State. I don't think they have any chance, but I just think that would be hilarious to see. So I'll be turning on the TV, throwing on that for a little bit before it turns into a blowout, most likely.
Absolutely.
Um, all right, we'll move into 3:30 Eastern time. We've got the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, split fan bases down in Jacksonville. We've got Georgia and Florida, big rivalry game. Florida's been struggling as of recent. We know Billy Napier is now gone. We talked about that in our coaching carousel episode. DJ Lagway still has yet to really hit his stride. Maybe he finds it against Georgia, but Georgia continuing to find ways to win. Kirby Smart at the helm has them right back on track in the picture for a national championship. Who do you like in this game? Spread is -7.5 for Georgia. Over under is 50.5.
Yeah, that's actually breaking news to my knowledge. I did not know this game was playing in the Jaguar Stadium, but it's not really going to factor my decision much. Both of them are coming off a bye week, I believe. Is that
Yes.
true? Yes. So, I mean, this is a huge game for Kirby Smart's defense, in my opinion. You let Chambliss kind of slice and dice you before the bye week. Um, we've seen Aguilar do what he does against them. You know, Ty Simpson was able to walk out of there with a win. I think that they need to get right, right? And I think there's no better time than do it against lousy Lagaway and the Gators. Um, I think that, Kirby Smart's team, they know that, now with one conference loss and you're now dealing with two other teams that have no conference losses, right? You need to win these games. You can't really let these games slip and essentially find a way to win out. I know you can maybe afford one more to get into the, playoff as a whole, but, they like to play for SEC championships, very much respectively so. So they need to essentially win out. And I think they have a very good chance to do that, and it starts at 3:30 tomorrow. So with that, I am going to take the dogs, but I do think that it's going to be a close game. I think both defenses will shine, and Lagway may find a little bit success. Maybe, I don't know. I just think this game's going to go under, and Georgia's going to come out on top. Therefore, I have the score being 27-24 in favor of the Dogs. I think they continue to stay high as a top 5 football team, but I think that Florida's going to find a way to cover somehow because they're weird, and they got the whole new coaching stuff. They're trying to look as an attractive head coaching job to compete with LSU. So just to be a weirdo, I'm going to take them to cover.
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair. I mean, we've seen several teams fire their head coach and then bounce back and in the very next week go put on an amazing performance. So Florida could do the same. You know, the fact that it's in Jacksonville, neutral site, it's just a rivalry game. I mean, both teams are going to get up regardless for this game. It's not really, you don't have to motivate anybody to go to this game. And if you're Florida, you have nothing to lose. You've lost your head coach. Your season is pretty much already over. So now, what better than to go ruin someone else's season, and what better to do it than against your rival? So I think they're really going to be fired up for this game. I do think Gunnar Stockton's been great. I think he's shown that he can win in multiple ways. I think that Ole Miss win, big for him again, just showing that he can put up whatever he needs to. One problem that I run into with Georgia, and I wonder when it's going to bite them in the butt, is the first half start. Like every game, it feels like they start really slow first half And so I think Florida will have the lead in this game. And that Florida defense, we've talked about the struggles on offense, but that Florida defense is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. So there is a world in which Florida could cause some struggle. But in the end, I do trust Kirby Smart way too much to be able to make adjustments and get his team over the line, even if it is ugly. So I do see this game going kind of in that direction, a little bit of ugly, but in the end, trusting Kirby Smart. So I've got, similar to you, I've got 28-24, Georgia
Wow.
beating Florida. So yeah, I smiled when you said 27-24. I was like, all right, one off. But really close. This is probably the closest we've been in our scores since that 24-10 Michigan prediction, which was dead on. So if that means anything, maybe, good news.
Maybe, maybe.
So
Let's
yeah, I've got
pray.
28-24, Florida covering just because of the situation, the rivalry game back against the wall. So yeah, that's what I've got right now. Georgia hasn't necessarily blown a lot of people out. So
That's a must win for the Dogs, though, in
yeah.
terms of everything, SEC, and when we're talking about the playoffs later in December. So they know it. Kirby knows it. They get an extra week to prepare, and should be another good one.
Yeah. So, and it's really interesting. I mean, Georgia really right now on a head-on collision course to meet Georgia Tech at the end of the year, and that would just be exciting if both those teams are in the top five in Atlanta. That's a game
Yeah,
I go to right in my backyard. So, I've been looking at tickets for that to see if that's a possibility. Want to get them sooner rather than later, but right now looking exciting. We'll move on then. Night game. It is Halloween weekend, and so that means Tennessee is bringing back the Halloween uniforms. They won last year doing this, so or I guess 2 years ago doing this. They played Kentucky. They've got the all black unis out. They are going to be
ooh,
hosting Oklahoma at night in Knoxville. Spread is -2.5. Over under is 55.5. Both these teams need a win right now if you have any shot of being in the playoffs. Who do you like?
I did not know they're going all blacks.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean,
That's
that's what they
sweet.
did last year or 2 years ago, Halloween. So
That's sweet. That's definitely look good, play good type thing. Plus those unions are just tough. But on the field, I feel like Oklahoma has just not looked the same since Mateer had surgery on his hand. Um, I don't understand why he rushed back. I mean, I do understand in terms of wanting to compete with your team. You transfer here to be able to play on a national stage. Um, but that hand surgery usually takes a month of recovery. And he was back within like a few weeks. Like to be able to do that, it's on his throwing hand. I don't know what bone it actually is, but just a broken bone in your throwing hand is a lot to come back from,
yeah,
especially as a quarterback. Um, so I mean, I just don't think this team is the same as when he was before when they beat Michigan and came out of the gates hot. But in terms of the Tennessee side, I mean they've the only losses are Alabama and Georgia, the two best teams in the SEC. They've done a lot to get to this point and beaten the teams that they need to beat, and they put up points, man. I mean, those guys just explosive play after explosive play. Aguilar slinging it. Heupel's offense is kind of one of those sleepers that I kind of like. No, Nico didn't really love it, so he got out of there. But look what it's done for him. So I mean, Aguilar. Hopefully he can get going. I mean, the night game in the black uni should definitely help with his swagger. I feel like he's just going to hawk a ton of deep balls and maybe get a couple come down with a. I know they have it. What's this Brazel? What's his name?
yeah, Brazel, that guy,
Brazel. My fault, but
17.
he's fun. I mean, they always have a receiver like that. Like shout out my boy Jalen Hyatt, one of the bigger busts in the NFL. But he was fun in college. So I'm gonna go with Tennessee. I think that home field advantage, explosive offense, cool uniforms, all things considered, they should be able to get this done. I don't think Oklahoma is worth the hype. I mean, essentially, this is a college football playoff elimination game, right? You lose this game, you're done in terms of out-large bids. So I think Tennessee, will play into that, and they've looked impressive besides everybody. I mean, they even looked impressive against Georgia. They barely lost that game, and they had to go on the road to Alabama, so that's tough as well. But I'm going to say they win this game 34-27. I think that this is still a one-score game, but they're able to get it done with spreads. Probably is it 7? Is it 3? It's probably one
It's
score.
two. It's 2.5.
Oh, it's 2.5. Okay, well, so then I got them covering. I'll take the 7 points. I think that's probably is that probably an over. I'm looking
Yeah,
at
that's
too. Yeah.
as well.
So I just think a lot of explosive plays are enough for Tennessee to take the control of the football game, and it's too many for Mateer to come back from.
Yeah.
As
All right.
simple
The
as that.
34-27 Tennessee win.
Yes, sir.
You got. All right. I love it. Yeah. At night Halloween, I sent you a picture actually just now of what the uniforms look like, so you can get a look at those
Let
black
me see.
unis.
Let me see. Let me
Are
see.
sick.
Yeah, I mean that's just pure drip.
Oh yeah, no, that's gonna be a problem.
That's sick.
And like you said, I think you hit on basically every point that I was really thinking about hitting on. Mateer hand injury, just yeah, has not looked the same. Has been missing some easy throws. Against that Oklahoma game, he just missed some regular routine throws that at the start of the season or in just preseason hype as well, nobody really expected him to miss. Um, so he's missing those, and you can't really blame him like having that hand injury. So. I just think that's a big factor. And then this Oklahoma defense had looked solid all year. And then against Ole Miss, they really got exposed. And I think Tennessee's got the offense that can expose pretty much anyone. I mean, we saw what they did to Georgia. They put up 56 against Kentucky, 34 against Arkansas, 41. They put up a lot of points every game, is the point I'm getting at. So we know they're going to put up points. And I don't think Mateer and Oklahoma's offense can keep up with that, especially in the road environment where they're probably going to get some false starts. They're probably going to get some holding penalties, just some stuff to move them behind the chains where they're going to have to make big throws. Oklahoma as well just has really struggled to run the ball. And so when you're one dimensional in the SEC, it really causes a large problem for you. I mean, we see that with everybody. In order to have success, you need both of those. And so, like, Auburn's a great example. Auburn can basically only run the ball right now, and you've seen what they've done. And so, if Oklahoma gets in that where they're only a pass offense, then I think Tennessee's going to eat them alive. I think there will be points in this, so I like the over with you, with what you said. But yeah, so I've got you at 34-27. I have 37-27.
Okay. Right.
Tennessee
Wow.
winning. So bang again. You know, we're right back on the same page. So I've got Tennessee covering. I've got the over. I think that is the first one we have lined up on every single metric on. So if anyone out there is listening and looking for a real lock from hook the line, I think that's your one right there that you're looking at. I actually feel really comfortable with that 2.5. But we'll see come Saturday. You know, you never can feel too comfortable with an SEC Saturday.
Right.
We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think we feel pretty good about that one. Then with that being said, we'll move into a 10:15 p.m. Eastern time game, which holy cow, 10:15. I mean, I'm just gonna struggle to try to stay up for this one, but I really want to because you've got two really fun quarterbacks with Cincinnati and Brendan Sorsby going on the road at Utah with Devin Dampier. And so we've got 10.5 is the spread, which is a very, very large spread for a ranked matchup. And then 55.5 is the over. So we had some guests on last week, and they mentioned that there's a trend with the Big 12 always going over 55. Maybe this is a perfect time to take it. Seems like Vegas listened and set the line right at 55. What do you think in this one?
Yeah. Shout out the boys for that stat. I actually was not aware of that stat at all, and it was dead on. I mean, BYU and Iowa State went over, right?
Yes.
I think it was. I think BYU put up a lot of points, but
Yes. Most of them go over. That's what I noticed.
this
So
is a good one for it too in terms of just team matchups and all things considered. Um, Utah, I mean, they started out hot, 3-0, went into the Texas Tech match with a lot of hype, lost. But Texas Tech looks like one of the better teams in the Big 12. Should be there in Dallas, or I think that's where they play the Big 12 championship. But and then since he's kind of got a lot of hype, they've won the games that they should have won. I forget who they've been playing and who they've been beaten, but they do a good job. Sorsby's been playing well. They play really well, complementary football, get turnovers. Yeah, but here we go. I'll pull up a schedule. It's not really super impressive if we're going to be completely honest with you. Baylor, Oklahoma State,
yep.
right? UCF. None of these teams are really super impressive to me.
Mhm.
These are the dumpsters of the Big 12, and the dumpsters of the Big 12 are like borderline Group of Five football teams. Like we
Oklahoma State is right up there.
Oklahoma State is really bad. Like they lost to Tulsa. Like they're bad. They're real bad. You know, but then you get thrown off like they beat Iowa State, right? They beat Kansas on the road, right? So I guess I understand the hype of the ranking, but and they're probably just trying to give a little bit of the juice to the Big 12 after, they get a lot of hate for pumping up the Big 10 and SEC, which is fair, but
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Dampier. I don't know what it is. He's kind of just like a weirdo, like a Kyler Murray-esque kind of player where they just like to, he likes to huck it downfield. He likes to run. They do a lot of weird things with their offense, but I almost love it. Like they run a lot of jet sweeps. They have like a track star receiver. I'm blanking on his name, but they'll just run a jet sweep, right? And then the next play, they'll run the fake jet sweep. Dampier will run it the other way, right? And their just offense is pretty unpredictable. And then, on in their goal line packages are pretty nice. They bring in like huge like Samoan dudes to run fullback, and then, they'll throw the ball the other side of the field, right? So I just think there's a lot of elements to this offense that are really unpredictable, and I think it takes a top tier team in order to beat them, which I really don't think Cincinnati is, to be honest with you. I mean, we went through the track record, so I'm going to go with Utah. And you mentioned the large spread for the ranked game, but if anyone knows how to make spreads, it's the boys over in Vegas. So I'm going to ride with them. I think that Utah is able to generate points, and we're going to see some fireworks at midnight of Eastern time, which kind of sucks, but whatever. Is this game day too?
This is game day.
So
College game.
they're going to be doing game day in the dark in
Yeah.
Utah, which is whatever. But final thoughts. Utah's going to win this one. I got the score being 38-21. So Utah's going to be able to generate points. Cover. That's another over too. Shout out the boys. But I'm looking for Dampier and them to get back in the conversation of the Big 12 champion. Do I think they get there? Maybe not, but at least get back in the conversation on tomorrow night's game day at 10:15 Eastern time.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
All right. Yeah, I like it. You've got two really fun quarterbacks.
yep.
I'm gonna take Cincinnati in this game, and it's a ballsy one, and it is a huge spread, but I'm gonna take them to win outright. And my main thing that I look at is Brendan Sorsby. I think that he is the least talked about quarterback. Even when we did our quarterback things, I didn't realize how good this guy's stats were, and I know the level of competition hasn't been great. I do look at that Iowa State win and hold it pretty high in there. But he's thrown one interception all year. And if you watch that Nebraska game to open the year out, it was just a Hail Mary ball at the end of the half that ended up being a pick. And I think not turning the ball over and not putting it in harm's way is such an underrated stat for a lot of these teams that kind of rely on offense and putting up points and maybe don't have the best defense. And so, especially in an environment like Utah, when it's game day, if you can take care of the ball and take that crowd out of it, and go down and score over and over again, like they have this year, where he's thrown for 20 touchdowns and one singular interception, I think they give themselves a really good shot. In Utah, I guess I have a little bit of a personal vendetta because of that Texas Tech game when I kind of put my neck out on the line and I bet on Utah and I talked about Utah and I was like, Utah, 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 like Dampier, Dampier, all this. And then they just let me down in a big snooze fest for the first half and then ended up getting blown out near the end of the game. I think Utah is very good, and it's very possible that what you said will happen, that they go and just run away with this one. But I think being game day, being hyped up, I think it's going to be a close one. And I think if you keep it close, I've got a walk-off field goal for Cincinnati, 28-30 in the last second. They win 31-30 against Utah on the road and really put themselves as a front runner next to Texas Tech for the Big 12. Whether they're that good or not, we'll see. But I think for this game, everyone's going to show up and it's going to be fun. But one thing I do like that we can agree on is that over 55 and a half. So I've got it going 61 points. But that's what I love, and that's what I'm doing. Also, on the other side of the ball, Dampier has turned the ball over a little bit. I like him a lot, but he threw 2 picks against Texas Tech, threw another one against BYU. In those big games against ranked teams, he seems to put the ball in harm's way a little bit more. If he doesn't do that, I think Utah wins big. Unfortunately, I think he might make a couple mistakes. That's why I've got 31-30 for Cincinnati.
Yeah, when you get that kid in third and long, he just likes to panic for some reason. Like he'll chuck the ball up to a receiver way downfield and it turns into a turnover, right? As long as they stay on schedule and stay ahead in this game, I think he plays a clean football game. But if Cincinnati can get out ahead and generate some second and longs, third and longs, generate some penalties, maybe. Yeah, that's where things get interesting for him, and could be a close game.
Yeah,
But
I think it'll be fun. I probably won't. I'll probably watch till halftime of this game, and then we'll see where it's at.
yeah, dude, they're doing us dirty with this kickoff time, but I get it. Big 12 is West Coast, so or actually it's Mountain West, but whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's not like I have much, to hope for on Sunday, so maybe I will stay up late. It's not like I want to wake up and watch my Falcons go lose to another mediocre team. I know the Pats are good. Shut up, Spike, but they're ass, and I don't want to play you this week, so whatever. Also playing him in fantasy, so can't go wrong this week.
Wow. Yeah, Patriots actually look good.
It's unfortunate.
So do the Colts somehow. But yeah.
Yeah, so that'll conclude our marquee games. Those are the 5 we're going to look at. A little honorable mention: Georgia Tech at NC State this week. Spread is 4.5, and so maybe Vegas thinks Georgia Tech's in a little bit of trouble. I know everyone's kind of on the Georgia Tech hype train. A lot of teams we see get on this hype train, and then the very next week after they've entered the top 10, they have a letdown. I think this is a massive game for Georgia Tech. So also keep your eye on that one. That's going to be a lot of fun, and then USC Nebraska as well. So we got a couple good ones in there as well, just that we didn't talk about.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. So we'll move here. I've got 3 best bets written down, and then you've got your lock of the week that you said you're going to do on the pod. What order do you want to do that in? Do you want me to go ahead and start?
You're
Catch up with you?
lead us off. Lead us off.
All right. So for best bets, we're going to go all over the place a little bit. These are going to not be games that we talked about, and they're probably not going to be games that you are going to even watch. So maybe just throw it in your bet slip. We've got Notre Dame on the road at Boston College, 1-7 Boston College. Listen, Notre Dame needs to blow everyone out by about 70 points in order to make the playoffs. So I think they're going to try to do that. I'm taking minus 29.5 Notre Dame on the road at 1-7 Boston College. I just think they have no choice but to go win by 40. So simple, really. That's my logic there. Secondly, this actually came from one of my parents' friends. Said that I need to mention Temple at some point, so I'm doing it right now. Temple plus 5.5 versus ECU. Temple actually looks pretty good this year. Somehow I looked at their record and their games, and it seems like they're actually performing pretty well. ECU, on the other hand, not that great. So I'm going to take them plus 5.5 at home. And then finally, Cal, whose quarterback's name I cannot pronounce. I don't know if you can. Do you know how to pronounce his name?
Nope. Saw it. Don't. Not even gonna try.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try. I was gonna try to butcher it, but we'll see. They're
I'm not
playing
gonna do it dirty.
Virginia, so the team that you faded last week with UNC, I'm gonna do the same thing. Stick to that trend. Cal at home plus 5.5 against Virginia, who is still ranked. Probably not after this week. Let's hope so. And those are the 3 I got for you. So
There
those
you
are the
go.
Twitter. Now on to you.
All right. My best bet of the week, or lock of the week. Glad to be bringing this to the pod. I know I've pushed it off to our Twitter, but I'm gonna bring it to the pod today, and we're gonna get weird with ours. I'm gonna go with the San Francisco 49ers to beat the New York Giants on Sunday at 1 p.m. on CBS. I think that's a great investment. To be honest with you, I'm just kidding. Even though that's a great bet,
That's great.
I'm not gonna do that.
Why would
Um,
that?
I like my little NFL bets. I know we haven't mentioned that, but great bet. That's a playoff team coming to MetLife after losing to Houston, and they get McCaffrey against a team that Saquon just demolished.
Hey,
But
they beat the Falcons too, so don't worry. Don't come.
enjoy my little rant, but great investment. Thank you, Vegas, for that blessing of a line. Um,
Oh, 2.5. Wow.
yeah, yeah. Also, take a peek at the Steelers. Colts are playing like their first outdoors game in a while. since they played the Titans.
It's time for them to lose.
It's time for them to lose, and they're only going to lose to the playoff teams, right? They're going to do well against those bottom tier teams like your Titans and all the losers that they play, like the Raiders and the Cardinals.
Hey,
So
hey. The Falcons in Germany, you never know what's going to happen.
who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
I just like
But
out there.
all right, well, let's get back to the real things. I hope you enjoyed my little spiel or rant about my stupid NFL team. On to 2026, but I think I'm going to go weird with my actual lock of the week because I brought a lot of misery last week with Oklahoma, and I'm going to fade them. And I'm honestly thinking on the spot here because you brought this to my attention, and I love it. I'm going to go with the Tennessee Volunteers over their team total of 28.5. I think that they're able to move the ball in this Oklahoma team and put up 30 points. I'm looking at it here. It's 28.5. So I'm gonna say that they go over that. They get over 4 touchdowns. Maybe get a field goal in there or something. But I like this team. They're explosive. They're able to generate a ton of points. We've already talked about it. But they're averaging a ton of points at home. They're able to put up 40 on Georgia. Coming home in those blacks, I like it. I don't know. Look good, play good. Shout out Joey Aguilar. But that's what I'm rolling with.
I like it. I like it. I love it actually a lot. I love the team total bet too. And for the Notre Dame bet, I'll throw that in there as well. 42.5 team total, that as well. But yeah, I think we have Tennessee team total over that anyways in both of our predictions. So we both are agreeing with that. And yeah, even if they go on to somehow lose this game, it's going to be a shootout. They're going to put up points. So I like that. And that'll be
Yeah.
up on the Twitter as well. So lock of the week. Thank you for bringing it to the podcast.
Oh yeah.
For next week, you'll probably keep it secret again and then just surprise
Yeah,
us.
we'll see how this one goes. I'm going weird with the team total, but I like it. After that weird money line, even though I faded myself with the Chambliss take in the Oklahoma money line, I got weird. I'm getting
Yeah.
even weirder.
All right. Well, I like it. So that's going to wrap up all of our games this week. Little note for all you that love college basketball. I know we've been talking about it a little bit at the end of our podcast. First episode will be Saturday, November 8th. We're going to do that in the morning of that before that Saturday slate. It might lean in a little bit by the time we get the video out, but it's just going to be kind of a season preview of what's to come this year in college basketball and possibly a special guest with us. So we'll see. We'll see what his
Looking forward to it.
but should be fun. Talking about something else. Football season for me has been abysmal in terms of my team. So getting on track for basketball season, having some hope is something I very much look forward to.
I'm excited as well. Got a great start to the year. I know we'll miss this part, but matchups to watch, or the defending champs are playing. Florida Gators are playing Arizona on that Monday night. That's coming up actually in a few days. That's a fun one to watch, as well as a few other matchups. I think Alabama St. John's is going on. We might be talking about that. That Saturday game. No, Kansas and North
That's a
Carolina.
Saturday.
Kansas and North Carolina is a Friday game. That'll happen before we film the pod. So few notes that I felt like I should add.
No, I like that. And little sleeper I'll throw in there Monday as well. 8:30 p.m. You got Villanova, BYU.
Yeah.
You get to see AJ Dean Benat's.
Yep. That a boy. But yeah, he's a problem. That kid's a beast.
Can you say his last name for me just so I don't feel
DeBansta or something?
Okay, cool. DeBansta.
I don't know.
See him on display, and so that game should be pretty close. But good to have college basketball back. We're reaching the sports equinox right now with hockey, World Series. By the way, World Series, you think the Dodgers pull it out? Quick little question for you.
Nope.
Nope. You think
Screw them. Dodgers ruined my chance at a World Series last year. Actually shattered my heart that Ohtani. I was gonna that Ohtani guy and all those. Their lineup's just insane. But our hope, America's team, actually not America's team, Canada's team, the Toronto Blue Jays, hopefully getting it done for us. They actually won me a lot of money in Game 5, to be honest with you. And it's back in Toronto. Baseball does it so weird in terms of home field advantage, right? So if you have home field advantage, you play Game 1, Game 2, and then you go on the road for Game 3, 4, and 5, and then you're back at home for 6 and 7. So they're in the driver's seat back in an electric place to play baseball. and they all they got to do is win one game, and I'm backing them. They have both aces are on the mound tonight. Should be electric, worth a watch if you're into baseball, even a little bit.
Yeah.
Just throw it on. But I'm backing the Jays. Either if they don't get it done today, then tomorrow night. I'm telling you that if another best bet is the Toronto Blue Jays to win the World Series. I know they're probably huge favorites now, but there you
Yeah.
go.
And some I might be throwing on a little bet. So tonight, I'm gonna ask you a question: Vlad Guerrero home run tonight or no? What do you think?
He's hot. He's hot.
I've been riding with it for the last couple games. It's been doing me well. I don't know.
I don't know if he does it again. I don't know if he does it again. They got a tough matchup. They're playing Dodgers' best pitchers on the mound. Um, there's a lot of talks about him being the World Series MVP. I don't think he goes yard, but he's a huge piece of that team. So he'll be on base making some plays.
All right. Well, maybe I'll switch it up today. Maybe I'll go Freddie Freeman or somebody like that. We'll see.
Maybe a Dodgers probably. Actually, go with your gut. I don't even know about a home run.
We'll see. But all that to come. So yeah, great time in sports right now. We're so glad fall is completely underway. And yeah, another great week of college football coming up. We'll be following along with our bets. Best bet or best of luck to you and your deep sea dog as well as your picks.
Likewise, sir.
We've got some of these that are very similar, so hopefully we end up in the right side of the boat this time. And for everyone that's watching, thank you guys for listening. We
Yes,
will be
sir.
back on midweek, sometime midweek next week, to go through another episode, and then college basketball will start, like I said, that Saturday. And we hope you guys have a great weekend of college football.
Yep. Stay tuned, people.
Peace.